What's up, guys and gals, for the latest piece of One Piece. Only about 4 or 5 days late at this point, but either way, this is chapter 1164 entitled Davy's Blood. Now, the good thing, or the cool thing about this is, I was sort of right. Now, to be fair, over the last couple of chapters reviews, I've had about 2 to 3 theories. So, obviously, when you have multiple theories, some of them about the same topic, some of them are going to be debunked just by default. But the cool thing is, like I was always right about Kaido being a dragon, I was actually right about one of these. I was right about one of these theories, and it's really, really cool, is that the Domi Reverse Seed rocks, and that's why Garp and Roger had to team up to defeat him. That was proven last chapter, and I talked about that in the last review. But also the fact that Rocks is in a position where he is fully taken over. He can't fight against it, and we'll talk about that for a second once we get to that point in the chapter. But the fact is, at the end of the chapter, as we know, he wants Garp and Roger to defeat him, I think I brought up something, but it was just more of a throwaway line, but it was really, really cool because when I read chapter 1164, I said, this is like everything I was talking about last chapter review coming to fruition. And I was really kind of blown away, because most times when I make theories, they're about, I'm going to say I'm half right half of the time. So 25% half right of half the time. So it is cool when things sort of fall into place, every once in a while. That's always kind of cool. So anyways, so chapter 1164, the cover serial is Perona and stuff like that. It's not actually a serial, it's just another art request. Mistaking one of the minks there, Perona, is for Mihawk because of the similar hat and stuff like that. Anyways, we start off the chapter with, of course, the Domi Reverse Seed taking over with Eam. They don't, like, Whitebeard's there, Roger's there, they're all looking up, and they're not exactly realizing what's going down. They see him being stabbed and screaming in pain, and they're like, rocks! Now this is where Roger recognizes our attacks didn't even phase this spider thing, and they're all like, well, we're, like, the crew. Like, we are what do you call it? Conglomeration of the greatest forces currently in the world, and we didn't do anything to this goddamn thing. So it's like, all right, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Not interesting in a good way, for sure. So Eam is reforming once again from the slash took from Rocks, and just says, like, it's just like, oh, you're so defiant and stuff like that. Rocks is still seemingly fighting against the Domi Reverse Seed, like, is starting to get some of the lines, gets the fangs, but is still himself at this point. So he is definitely able to resist it to a degree. It's not like instantaneous, like we've seen it before, or a very short transformation sequence, and then they're fully under the Domi Reverse Seed. So he's definitely resisting it. So he says, you shouldn't scoff at humans, you beast. Davy D. Jones. That's the name of the previous king of the world. So it's like, wait a minute. This pisses off Eam. And Eam is just like, completely, absolutely not. Insolent fool. That wretch was never king. Not even for but a single moment. They have no place in the fate that binds Moo and Davy. So this is triggering for, and I use that term very, very loosely because I think it's overused and I hate it. But that's exactly what's going on. Like, Rocks knows all of the, like, little poke, exactly where to poke the bear to garner a major reaction. And we're seeing that right now, and I really appreciate that, because Eam, he or she, is really flying off the handle every time Rocks opens his mouth. So it's like, okay, so Davy D. Jones was the previous king of the world. Eam obviously is like, no, he never was. And it's like, well, wait a minute now. I'm thinking this, once again, it's theory time. I'm thinking that this means Davy D. Jones was did defeat Eam, dethroned, defeated, but didn't sit on the Iron Throne, as it were, and decided to abdicate. It's like, oh, we'll live to fight another day sort of idea, but had, at the very least, had the opportunity to be king of the world and denounced it, declined it, what have you, but was considered to be by many the king of the world. And Eam, that's a sore spot for Eam, whether David D. Jones was the older brother and Eam's the younger brother sort of idea, something like that going on, and he was like always jealous or something, and we could see that. There's a lot of potential for different versions of how that went down. So Rox even remarks like, oh, you're flying off the handle over a name. You shouldn't be so scared. It's just a name after all. But you have been afraid for a very long time, haven't you? Afraid that one day someone's going to inherit Davy's will and will fulfill the promise. We don't know what this promise is, of course. And once again, it sort of pokes a few holes in my theory that Davy D. Jones could have been the one, like, had the opportunity and said, nah, not for me, you know? Or was it more of a Roger just laughed sort of situation? I was too early. It's not my time. It's not my job. My job is to inspire the generation that will do this sort of idea. That's entirely possible. I can see that. It would definitely be right in line with what Oda has been doing with One Piece so far. You know what I mean? Like the Joy Boy and the Davy D. Jones passing on the inherited will thing, going down the line to people like Shanks and Roger, and then finally passed over to Luffy and things like that. Having the will to know that it's not my time, it's somebody else's, and to make sure that they put all the preparation in place for when that day comes. I like that. So it's entirely possible, and to this day, that's what Emu is afraid of, right? Now this is where he continues on and says, I wonder who scares you the most? Is it Davy D. Jones? Is it Joy Boy? So right here, I'm going to say it that this confirms that Davy D. Jones and Joy Boy are 100% two separate people. They are not synonyms for the same people. Now, Joy Boy could be a member of the D clan, or the Davy clan, but obviously they are right here. I'm taking this as confirmation, until told otherwise, that they are two separate people. Joy Boy, Davy D. Jones being, Joy Boy being the first pirate, and maybe Davy D. Jones being the first king of the world, or the first Will of D, the start of the Will of D, or something like that. Like you could flip-flop either one of their identities sort of idea until we get more information, more lore, more history, you know, and Nico, Robin, buffet sort of idea of lore and history. We're not going to fully know, but it's fun to theorize about, of course. Now this is where it's still pissing off Emu like crazy, just saying, cease the babble, they shall never resurface. Everything that you worked for will fall into oblivion. You know, Davy, Mu has found the perfect soldiers now. A certain nation of gentle and indecisive giants. And this is when Rox is just like, wait a minute, giants? Harold wants, you stay away from him. He just wants peace. Like, this is wrong and stuff. And we know from everything from the Loki flashback, Harold was Domi reversed as well. And if Rox can't resist it, as even though not a very good father and kind of a shitty king, Harold's certainly not a bad person. He's come from a good place, just really, and in good intentions, just handled and executed incredibly poorly on his part. But his intentions and his ideas for Elba are all good. Now Emu is just like, ha ha ha, this will, change, like, give the power back to me sort of idea. He's pissed about this. And Emu's like immediately like, yes. Well, a sovereign that pliable and so easy to please they may never appear again. So obviously, once again, Harold is just looking worse and worse every time he's brought up in every chapter he's brought up in, because now we're told, okay, it's a good thing that they're not the warmongering giants anymore. Okay, that's a good thing. But as a result of trying to be good and stuff like that, the world government, or even in this context, is now going to hold out the hand of, here's what you want. here's the candy. Come into the van. I got more. Sort of idea. And Harald's going to obviously, and we know it's pretty obvious, is going to fall for this. Even though Rox warned Harald, this is wrong. Like, do not trust the world government. They are, once again, very corrupt, very this, very that. And Harald's just not taking it, because Harald wants everything done within his lifetime. Harald wants peace and prosperity and things that take centuries. He wants done in less than decades. And it's just not feasible. It's not realistic. But Harald is not patient enough. He's steering Elbaf in a good direction, you could argue. But obviously, Eam never had the opportunity whatsoever with a king, with the warmongering, the conquering kings. So, in a very ironic sense, by Harald trying to steer the giants in Elbaf to a better future, he's going to be that much easier to manipulate, which was not even a possibility on Emu's chessboard to be able to do to any of the previous kings. So it's really, this one is actually outside of Harald's control, so it doesn't make him look worse, but by reputation and by everything that goes down, he is going to be the one responsible for everything that goes down with the symbol on Elbaf and the castle, and everything that goes down is going to be on his shoulders, unfortunately. So, yeah. Now, this is where Rox can't seemingly resist the Domi Reversi anymore and says, now you will make haste and put an end yourself to Davy's dream. Now, it doesn't seem like Whitebeard, Roger, Garp, any of them heard much of this, if any of this conversation. They're not aware of anything that's going down. They're just standing there like, what is happening right now, right? And this is where Rox has fallen, and because the Domi Reversi, like, Emu just dropped him completely down, and then this is where Rox recognizes that, like, my consciousness is fading, like, I'm not going to be able to control my body much anymore, and unfortunately, we know that Rox, like the Domi Reversi does, it increases his size. So he gets the fangs, he gets bigger, and now he's there just a puppet of Emu and stuff like that. And Big Mom's like, whoa, Rox, wait a minute. You're bigger than I am right now. What's going on? This is where, out of the way. Their blood must be purged from history and stuff. And so, leaping forward, attacks Kaido immediately. And Kaido's like, Rox, what are you doing and stuff? And now Rox slams Kaido in dragon form, like just stab, tosses him aside sort of idea. And this is where Big Mom is like, what, aren't we supposed to be allies? What are you doing, Rox? Damn you! And then, Big Mom attacks and gets taken out by Rox as well. Obviously, they weren't privy to the conversation. And even if they were, it wouldn't make much sense in the middle of a battle. Plus, he doesn't say, haha, I am now going to mind control you, Rox. Like, it's not blatantly stated, so even if they did hear it, they wouldn't, nothing there would tell them that Domi Reversi does this, right? Now, Whitebeard immediately is just stoic. Edward Newgate, the man, the myth, the legend. Which I'm still wondering, why Roger and Garp combined? Where did Whitebeard go? We have no idea. I'm going to say that Whitebeard is included in the fight. But Garp did not give a full report to Sengoku. Sengoku has, like, the bare minimum. So what he told the Marines was, like, just the key points of what went down at God Valley and missing out on all the context and all the details and stuff like that. And maybe Garp just, like, doesn't want to talk about it or something like that and just said, yeah, well, teamed up with the Roger crew and took him out. You know what I mean? He's like, well, who else was there? Like, well, Whitebeard helped us out too. It's like, what, you teamed up with 2 pirates? So he's just like, nah, not sure exactly, because it seems like Whitebeard and Rox are even in this clash, which, once again, I think this is also showcasing that Rox himself, while Domi Reversi gets the, the boost in power and stuff like that, Rox was not exactly a tier above everybody else. Rox was right there on the level. You could argue he's top of that tier, but Whitebeard, Garp, Roger, Rox, they were all right here. They were all equal in strength in that regard, and I've been holding to that ever since we got to the flashback and we've been showcasing Rox. I haven't seen any evidence that Rox is necessarily like in a 1v1 Rox wins, you know, in the same way that Kaido, bet on Kaido sort of idea, right? I have not seen the evidence for the Kaido one, and I've never seen the evidence here yet for the Rox one. He's one of the strongest combatants in the One Piece verse, but it doesn't mean that he's invincible, right? And we see, because Whitebeard's like, okay, so he took out Big Mom, he took out Kaido, and then Whitebeard's just like, so, we're in your way. Are we, Rox? And then Rox mentions, now he's Domi Reversied right now, so remember, all of his speech, not his thought but his speech, is Domi Reversied version, is the one controlled by Emu. Now, we don't know if this is Emu talking through him or something like that, but either way, he goes, you are ... Is Whitebeard important in some way? We know he doesn't have the D in his name from everything we understand. So, what's so special about Whitebeard, or is this just me reading too much into it? It's One Piece, we're reviewers, we all read everything into literally everything. A little silhouette in the background of a small panel from 20 years ago, we're still theorizing about to this day. It's One Piece. So what does they mean by this? Either way, they have this big clash of hockey. It's amazing. It's especially amazing because Whitebeard's like, he blocks, he's like Garp. He's like, conquers hockey with his arm. He's not even using Mumagiri. He's just there. It's like, oh, sword against, alright, I've had enough of this. You know, and crack, bang, boom, this attack levels one of the two mountains on the island. This clash between Whitebeard and Rox. It's amazing, right? The whole mountain comes down. It's like, holy shit, what on God's green earth is happening? We jump over to the Celestial Dragons and stuff. Nobody cares about them. Shocky and Rayleigh are still trying to get away and stuff like that. We see everyone running away with different treasure in different regions. Dragon is beside himself because he wasn't able to save Shanks. Like, he's like, oh no, I couldn't save Shamrock and I couldn't save Shanks. I'm a failure. Like, I couldn't even save one damn baby, you know, sort of idea. And he's just like, he's completely beside himself. We see Kuma being, everyone's already said it, one of the MVPs of God Valley, saving as many people as possible. Captain John is still kicking. So this is not where Captain John apparently died. Captain John is still alive. He's like, damn that Gunsui. Holy shit, you know, because obviously Captain John does have to die. We've seen Captain John in Thriller Bark. There's still the theory, of course, that Thriller Bark is God Valley, transformed and stuff. Once again, I like the theory. There's a few holes or plot holes or inconsistencies that would need to be cleared up to make it, how did it get there? How did Moria get it? But it does make sense with all the different shadows and the bodies and stuff that he obtained. It would make sense that Moria would have this is like a chunk of God Valley that he took. So Shiki, of course, also betrayed Gansui and ran away with all with the treasure chests and stuff like that. So Gansui, Captain John was betraying everyone for the treasure. Gansui was like, absolutely not. Like, we got to split the treasure. And then Shiki, after convincing Gansui to do that, Shiki's like, ha ha ha, my portion, bye. So anyways, everything's on fire. Everything's crazy. Now, Rox is now, we don't see Whitebeard. So it's not sure exactly where Whitebeard is. I doubt he was taken out. But maybe he's got something else, because Rox is now chasing down, of course, his wife and child. The wife seemingly, what's her name? Eris? She recognizes that this is a Domi reverse seed. You know, like, he looks wrong sort of idea. And then immediately starts crying. He's like, so you lost. I'm sorry, it's our fault. You faced that thing to save us, even though we knew you weren't ready yet. Wait a minute now. Was that the purpose of him trying to find the certain two devil fruits? Was there training he had to do that was maybe hockey based or something? Like, they knew that the King of the World had these abilities or this power that, you know, they need to unlock the full power of Davy's blood or something like that, the D-Clan blood, to be able to resist this completely, because Rox resisted it for quite a while. until he was taken over. And he's still got some level of consciousness in the back, like we're going to see at the end of the chapter. But she seems to know what this is and is tearfully crying because she knows there's probably no way to reverse it. Or it's like once it's done, it's over. And says, you weren't ready yet. So there was preparation happening for Rox to take down Emu or face Emu on even footing. And unfortunately, it, once again, just like Roger arriving on Laughtail too early, Rox was confronted by Emu too early. A situation sort of out of his control, but it is what it is. So she starts running away, saying, we've got no choice but to run into this sea and swim. We won't let the Davy clan end here. We will survive no matter what. Rox is coming down, gonna slash down his own wife and kid. We see that escapees are spotted on the island from the marine ships, and the marine ships start firing. At the same time, Rox is coming down, and Kuma immediately jumps in the way and gets both of them away and plops himself away as well. So Kuma and Rox's wife and kid Teach are all saved from Rox, and obviously only the Navy ships and Rox take any damage. The cannonballs the cannon fire did anything to him? Who the hell knows? But he takes down obviously the marine ship that was attacking. Emu is watching everything burn and be destroyed, and assumes by the looks of this, Davy next. Extinguish all who remain on this island. So seemingly is convinced that he did the job. Like we don't know how Domi Reversi works. Like, can Eam right now see through Davy's eyes and realize he didn't strike the killing blow, but there's nothing he can do about it? Because you'd think he'd be more pissed if they escaped and Emu knew about it. He'd be like, where did they go? What happened? Sort of idea. Maybe this is convincing Emu that he did, do the deed, sort of idea. Or like, because we don't know exactly how the Domi Reversi power works in that regard. Like, is he controlling him, like, literally like with a controller sort of idea, like a PS4 game, first-person view while he's going through it? Or is it more of a feeling, or more of just giving orders and a sixth sense of how things are going down? Who knows? We're not privy to that yet. So obviously Roger and Garp are the ones remaining behind, because the Marines and the Roger Pirates are both calling for them. And meanwhile, Rox is slaughtering everyone, obviously his own crewmates and stuff. And this is where Garp and Roger at the same time both yell from the center. There's this big Conquerors hockey spark from both Garp and Roger combined, saying, Rox, bring it on! And this is where Emu says, Davy, ? Now, once again, as the one who believes that the D clan actually just stands for Davy, and the Davy clan and the D clan are the same clan, and Oda would absolutely troll us with Davy Jones. I'm curious here, because it seems that Rox immediately... There's two ways to look at this, because Rox immediately, after that Bring It On Rox and that Conquers Hockey like aura, Rox immediately shows up in front of Garp and Roger. Now, when Emu acknowledges this, Davy, ? It could be taken the easy way, saying that, he's like, slaughter everyone on the island. But wait a minute, that, like, he called him out, and Davy immediately, like, didn't ignore that order, but sort of like, this is more pressing, and went there of his own free will. The only reason I say that, of course, is because Rox realizes that he's never going to come back, he's out of control, and as we know, he speaks through, I'm assuming this is just the voice of all things, and Roger and Garp hear it. This would confirm that Garp has the voice of all things, and they can both, and we know that Roger had it, so it would make sense that they can hear Rox Will trapped in this Domi Reversi body, and is like, please, I need you two to kill me. Like, and he's crying and he's weeping. So the way this could be taken is that, he's like, Davy? Like, he should have just kept slaughtering in pattern, like nothing should have like deterred him. Or was the Conquerors Hockey blast from Garp and Roger that called Rox to them, is that Emu going, that's the line of Davy's hockey. Like, he can sense that hockey, that Conquerors hockey, is from another Davy clan member, which, once again, Roger and Garp, both members of the Willa D. Household name, the strongest, some of the strongest of the Willa D. Is that him acknowledging, wait, there's more members? Davy clan? Again? Sort of idea. I like the second one. The first one makes more sense. But I like the second one. So, anyways, as I said, Rock shows up, and Garp and Roger both like, I don't know what happened to you, Rocks, but this ain't you. We are, I don't know what you turned into, but we won't let you, kill everybody. And as I said, they can hear it because he's immediately in his mind yells, Roger, Garp, and they both, huh? What? This voice? And Garp can hear him, and so can Roger, because they acknowledge this voice. It's in my head. They're like, what's with that expression? Because he's crying and stuff like that. Please kill me. And Garp and Roger are both like, huh? Like, what is he talking about? Like, why are we hearing his voice in our heads? And this is going to be the climax of the God Valley instance. So, 1165 will be the last of the God Valley flashback. But I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty happy with this. Once again, the Garp slander is just slowly going down, which of course I love, because I've been dealing with that for literal decades at this point. So 1164 was awesome. As I said, there's a few things to theorize about. How exactly, the minor details of how Domi Reversi works certainly will come into play here. And a lot of people are saying, and Big Mom and Kaido probably realize this, but Whitebeard seemed to know something. And are you telling me that Rocks took out Whitebeard off screen like that and we didn't get to see it? That'd be weird to me. That would be weird. So Whitebeard's still on the island, and I doubt he's knocked out. He's absolutely not. So where's Whitebeard going to come into this scenario? Confirming that, in my opinion, this is the voice of all things, and Garp is now confirmed to have the voice of all things with this chapter. Fine dandy. I'm good with that. It's just the Garp stock's going up, of course, as they all do. Always do. Always should. Always do. This clash, I hope we get to see the majority of the fight. What I'm going to assume happens is that we see, like, some of the opening clashes, and then by the end, we're going to time skip over the fight itself. We're not going to see the whole fight. That'll be up to Toei to show us a lot more. But in the end, we're going to see the beginning couple clashes of the fight and the very end of the fight when they finally do the deed, And as I pointed out, this is why when everyone was saying, yeah, Garp took out a dude who was just trying to overthrow an evil government and save his wife and kid and stuff, I'm like, no. Something else weird is going on here. And that's why I theorized about it for 3 or 4 chapters, and it was correct. Domi Reversi, Rocks went evil, and they had to do it. They didn't want to do it, they had to do it. And to save everybody. So it was a tragic end, or it's going to be a tragic end to Rocks, I definitely like that. It makes sense in the context of the story. And now everything we know about Rocks. Rocks is not Blackbeard. Rocks is far closer to a Luffy and a Roger than he's... Blackbeard is more like Eustace Kid. Blackbeard and Kid and those type of pirates. Don Krieg, Arlong, those type of pirates. The pirates that Garp, the reason Garp is the way he is being a Marine, is because most pirates are like that. Most pirates are not Whitebeard. Most pirates are not Roger or Luffy. Most pirates are kind of scumbags, you know what I mean? And they pillage and they, what else and stuff like that. And they literally pull like an Arlong on islands with no defense. And that's the majority. So when Garp is a Marine, he's still trying to, even though he sees and witnesses good pirates, quote unquote good pirates, more like free men more than actual pirates in that regard. At the end of the day, his job still supersedes that I'm putting away horrible people who will just take over an anarchy and burn and, women, children, everything, right up that alley. You know what I mean? So it is definitely a rock and a hard place when it comes to Garp's morality compass there. But yeah, seeing this chapter and seeing everything that's going down the way it's going down, I'm really looking forward to 1165. This whole flashback sequence has been nothing short of mwah, chef's kiss, as far as I'm concerned. But let me know what you guys think. Once again, so sorry that this was another late review. I'm really trying my best to keep up to date with everything, but obviously some things fall through the cracks, you know what I mean? And One Piece seems to always be the one that falls through the cracks. Usually it's because these reviews are so long. There's so much to talk about. They're easily half an hour plus reviews, and usually if I can only have enough time to knock out, you know, a 15-minute review of a different series, I tend to do that first, just so I can get some content rolling, and then I worry about One Piece later. It's not that I don't love One Piece and I don't love this flashback, it's just these videos tend to take the longest, so I don't miss huge chunks of information or possible theorizing, etc., etc. So, anyways, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys back here next time for 1165. Looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Sayonara.